Hey y'all, it's me. Long time no see, I know, but I figured quarantine is just the best opportunity to get back in the swing of things. So today's video is going to be my review of the All the Bright Places Netflix film. Now, right off the bat, I was just super disappointed in this film. Yeah, it had so much potential in the book, and I just didn't see hardly any of that reflected in the film. I don't know, like, it was like they have the same names, they have kind of the same story, and that's about it. Yeah, I actually reread All the Bright Places before watching the film with my boyfriend, and I was just like, now that I'm older and I'm not in that headspace anymore, because back when I read this a couple years ago, I was still in high school, I was like super depressed, and I related a lot to Finch. Reading back on it now, I saw that he had like a lot of like warning signs and red flags, and he just needed help. And yeah, this is not a video about like, you know, rereading one of my favorite books and realizing there's a lot of like, nuances that maybe aren't so great. Really all the characters were super underdeveloped, even like with Justice Smith playing Finch, who, by the way, I was super excited for, and I love him to pieces, and I think he did a great job. Don't get me wrong, he captured everything about Finch that I loved. He did a really good job, but I feel like he could have done even better if he were given like a proper, I don't know, like if like you had Justice Smith and you ruined it. Basically, like he carried this movie on his shoulders basically, because Elle Fanning, you know, she looks exactly like how I imagined Violet, but that's about it. Like, she kind of had no personality, and I guess that was kind of the point, because in the book she kind of has no personality for a little bit. But yeah, just all the characters were just super, like, lackluster. You know, they like combined a couple characters into one, like, you know, Ryan Cross and Roma are two different people in the book, and they're the same person in the movie, which I guess, of the sins of this movie, it's one of the, like, lesser ones. You know, in the book, he ends up not being that bad of a guy, you know, towards the end. Like, he's not a great character by any means, but he, like, kind of redeems himself with the whole scene with the Purina Tower that she takes him and Amanda to. And then the idea of Romer is there's no redeeming qualities, but everyone likes him. So by combining them into the same person, you kind of lose that. Like, yeah, my main issue was just, like, they took so much out from the book, but it was stuff that was, like, super, like, relevant. Like, yes, they touched on Finch's dad being, like, physically abusive, but you miss out on the fact that, like, he still has to see him, like, physically. He still has to see him in his new shiny family. And, yeah, they talked about how their mom was basically not a mom, but you lose out on that sense of, like, she's, like, by having her not be present in the movie, you lose out on that sense of she's there, but she's not doing her job as a mom. Like, you lose out on that sense of, like, he had the perfect storm for, like, you know, for all of his, like, mental illness issues, and you lose out on that. You just think he's, like, this crazy kid. You know, they don't even mention the word, I don't even think they mention the word bipolar, and in the book, the label of bipolar is what drives him over the edge on his downward spiral. And you lose that sense of it when you just show, like, he's just a wild kid, you know? They call it, like, also, the bullying he experiences is not even, like, he experiences some hardcore bullying in the book that in the film I think translates to, like, 1 or 2 scenes of, like, him being called a freak instead of, like, it being, like, an everyday thing. And then, you know, and then he, like, chokes out Romer, which is a thing in the book, but, you know, you lose out on so much of who he is and why he is who he is because you erase a lot of his family, like his family troubles, and then you erase a lot of his school troubles, so you really just get the sense that he's just, like, this, like, manic pixie dream boy. And then with Violet, there's a little bit less that you have to work with her. She's just having a lot of survivor's guilt. Like, you lose out on them falling in love with each other, really, because of the way they kind of, like, montaged their little adventures. And, you know, my biggest issue is the fact that she doesn't, like, go to these places after he dies, you know? Like, he doesn't leave her anything to, like, go on an adventure to find him, you know? Like, they all go to these places together, and the reason it's so significant is because she has to do it by herself in the book. So I think that's what really disappointed me, was like they just changed like a really integral part of this book. Like it's like the last 70 pages, that's what she does. It's like go on this adventure that Finch leaves her. I thought the bridge scene was pretty interesting of a choice. So basically, in the book, they meet at the bell tower at school, and it's really significant because why would you try to kill yourself at school? You lose out on that sense of like the students are watching, the teachers are watching. You lose out on that when you change it to the bridge where her sister died. Like, it's a private moment between the two of them. In the book, he uses it as like a, kind of like a blackmail thing. Like, hey, you don't want anyone to find out what you were really doing on the bridge or on the bell tower, because, you know, the idea is like, she saved the freak. But you lose out on that whole sense of like why she feels like she owes him in the book to become partners, instead of just like, you know, having that private moment, which he could still have like, you know, used against her, but at the same time, it's different when like no one else sees that. Like none of the students, none of the teachers were like, why are you on that random bridge? Like, I don't know, I had so much hope for this movie, and it just really disappointed me. Even like without reading the book, even without reading the book, I feel like the movie just had some major like pacing issues, and some scenes could have gone better, and I just feel like a lot was missing. Like you could tell a lot was missing. It's one of those things where like, you can tell it's based on a book, but you can also tell that they just left a lot out. Yeah, I was just really disappointed with this, because this is one of my favorite books, and I was so excited because it had Justice Smith, and I love Justice Smith, and they just butchered it. Yeah, so I would not recommend the movie at all, even if like you don't ever plan on reading the book, just because like I'm not sure its portrayal of mental illness is good enough. At the end, you know, she does the presentation on their project, and it's just like everyone feels bad for him after he's gone. Like very like 13 Reasons Why, like we shouldn't have treated this like we didn't know this person was like this old soul kind of like insightful human being, and instead of like, you know, people feeling like responsible and being called out, it's just like it kind of romanticizes it, and I don't think that was the intention, but that's what I felt like. Like I felt like it romanticized a lot of like the struggle there. I mean, it showed the ugly parts, but it also showed that like, you know, at the end they really did see him for who he was instead of just a freak, and I don't think that's a good idea. I think, you know, there should have been a moment where it's like, you know, where his friends are like, you all are all fake and stuff like that. Like, he was sick, yes, but you guys didn't help the situation. Not saying that they should have felt guilty or responsible, but, you know, this kid was a perfect storm, and you missed out on perfect storm when you take away the family elements, when you take away, you know, the school elements, and you just leave them with kind of a little bit of manic. That's what I felt like it was just, the whole performance was just a little bit manic. And, yeah, I had so much high hopes for this movie, and it sucked. The acting was good, but just like, you know, everything, like, you know, you can have the best cast, and if your movie is just like written bad or your directing's bad, then it doesn't matter. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought of the movie, or if you had a different take on it. I would love to like just get into the discourse there. But without further ado, I'll see you on the next video. Bye.